Personal log, Dr. Liam Ketterer, Sciences Director aboard the ISS Nemesis. Following a successful reconnaissance mission to the outer systems, our vessel has experienced an unscheduled termination of the hyperjump sequence during our return trip to Earth. I awoke in the hibernatorium. I'm suffering from the normal effects of hypersleep, including mild confusion and memory loss. 3 of the hibernation pods had been opened and were empty. However, inside the last pod, I found the remains of the captain. He had a gaping hole in his chest. I was unable to determine the cause of the wound. My sidearm was still with me, but all of my other equipment was gone. If I can get to the generator room, I'll be able to access the holo computer, which might provide me with some answers. I've discovered evidence that a xenomorph may have boarded the ship, but the precise nature of the intruder or intruders is unknown. Strange noises are filtering through the technical corridors, and several alarms have signaled that some systems aboard the vessel have malfunctioned. I will assess the situation and attempt to restore order aboard the ship.
Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me at the Solo Gamers Club. Tonight, I'll be featuring a solo character playthrough of Awakened Realms' title, Nemesis. As we will be playing a true solo version of the game, I drew 2 solo objective cards, and those are revealed to be Cutting Off the Head and Cleanup Crew. Both will require us to locate the comm room and send a signal to Earth. This will be our top priority for the moment. Once we have an encounter, we'll have to choose one objective from the 2. The only change in the rules will involve the number of searches that are available in each room. When playing solo, we take the number on the exploration token and divide by 2, rounding up. Before we begin, I'd like to spend a moment regarding the painting of the models. I just wanted to encourage those watching that might feel intimidated with painting. The painting process is actually much easier than you think. I basically took a can of black primer and primed all of the intruder models in black, and the heroes I ended up priming those in white. Once that dried for the intruders, I took some silver paint and dry brushed that on until I had a silverish black color to the models. Then I took a little light blue and dry brushed that on top to give it a more kind of metallic look to it. And then I did the same with the base. I used a slightly darker silver color and painted the bases with that, like a gunmetal gray color. Then I took a little orange, dry brushed that on to get like a rust effect. And you know, these aren't going to be anything that you'd put in a museum, but it's a lot better than just open plastic, you know. So I would encourage people to, if you have this game, by painting the models, it really adds to the theme of the game. And you don't have to invest. All these models took me about an hour and a half to do. It's actually quite simple, and the dry brush process is really good for, like in my case, my vision's not so good, so I can't really do detailed modeling anymore, but with a dry brush, you can make them look pretty decent with not a lot of effort involved, and it's, you know, fairly safe. You're not going to destroy your models by doing this. So I would encourage those that have the game to attempt to dry brush these, and this effect is real easy to achieve. It's not you know, like I said, it's not going to be put in a museum anywhere, but it's better than just gray plastic. For this playthrough, I selected the scientist. I'm not sure how he's going to perform in a solo game, but we'll find out. He starts the game with an energy weapon pistol. He's got 3 ammunition in that. And he's got a chance to pick up some laboratory equipment and a holo computer. Those are his quest items. So based on our beginning objectives, it looks like our top priority is going to be to find the comm room. No matter which one we choose, we're going to have to send that signal from the comm room. That'll be our top priority. The second priority on these would be to more than likely destroy the ship. We could also kill the queen, which I doubt we're going to be able to do. But the nest would also be a possibility, to destroy the nest. But I think in the case of this character, it's probably easier to destroy the ship. That would fulfill the objective. Now we're ready to begin, and this is going to be my first playthrough of the game. Believe it or not, I bought the game when it was first released for commercial purchase, whenever that was, 2018 or 19, whenever it was. And I basically, unpacked the game, made sure all the components were in there, and I just put it back on the shelf, and I'd never played the game. Just I had other things that caught my attention. But until recently, I kind of got interested in it, so we're going to try a playthrough of this using the scientist, and we'll see how we do. Yeah, you can imagine how frightful you'd be in the situation of this scientist. He wakes up from hypersleep following a deep space mission. 3 of the pods of his fellow crew members are empty, and 1 pod, captain, is dead with a chest wound. And he's hearing noises in the ship. There's malfunction alarms going off in the ship, and you can imagine the fright level of this character. So we'll see what happens with this. We're going to begin by drawing our action cards. We draw 5 cards from our action deck, and then we're able to use those for actions. The cards that we've drawn are demolition, intranet, interruption, risk assessment, and a search card. All right. Now we're looking for the comms room. That is going to be a common element in either of the objectives that we select, either the cleanup crew or cutting off the head. So we need to find that comms room, and we know that the comms room is a level 1 room. The rooms that are directly adjacent to the hibernatorium are level 2 rooms. All the other ones are level 1 rooms. So I think what we'll do, we are going to play the interruption card. That card is not very useful to us in a solo game, and we basically can use that for basic actions. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a move action, I think. Now I could also pick up the body of that captain. That would cost us an action, and that is a heavy item, so that would cost us 1 action to do that. Maybe I should do that. I don't know. I think we will. We'll use the interruption card, and we're going to pick up a heavy object, which will be the captain's body. And we'll put that in our left hand. All right. Our second action is going to be using the demolition card, and we'll do that to move. So we are going to move through this corridor towards room number 8, and we'll see what happens. So what we do now is we're going to examine the room tile, and then we'll draw that and examine the exploration token. Okay, this is an engine control room that allows us to check the status of engines. And now we'll see what the exploration token is. All right, we got pretty lucky. It has 1 searchable item in that location, and the X means that we have no noise, so we don't have to place any noise. So we're going to set this to 1 searchable item. We line up the number 1 with the arrow, and that tells us that we can search that area 1 time. So that's good. So we'll place these cards in the discard. Now we have 3 cards left, and we do have a search card. So maybe we should do that, and I think I will. We'll play the search card. It requires no additional cards to be played, and that will allow us reduce the counter by 1 and draw 2 item cards of the same color. So in this case it's a yellow, so we'll reduce this to 0, and we'll draw 2 yellow item cards. And those cards are revealed to be chemicals and clothes. All right, they're both one-use items. The clothes would allow us to discard a slime marker. The chemicals allow us to fully load ammo in a flamethrower, or I have this laboratory card, and that says discard chemicals to activate this item. So that would give us laboratory equipment. If you are in a room with a character corpse, intruder, carcass, or egg, discover one corresponding intruder weakness card. That's very interesting. I think for this case, we're probably better served to go with the clothes. I know that being slimed is very bad, so we're going to take the clothes. That will give us the ability to get rid of the slime. That card goes to the discard. Well, we have 2 cards left, and we could use those 2 to move carefully, and that allows us to place noise markers in the corridors that we wish. So I think we'll do that. So I will play intranet and risk assessment, and the scientist is going to move, I think, into this corridor here, and we'll see what's happening in room 9. So let's see what room this is. And we have evacuation section B. So that is going to be a way to get into the evacuation pods. And we're more than likely going to need that because the secondary portion of our objective will probably be to destroy the ship. All right, so we are in this evacuation section B, and what do we've got? It has 1 searchable area and there's fire. Okay, so we'll set this to 1, which it is on right now. And we're going to place a fire token in the room. Now, unfortunately, when we end a turn in a room with fire, we're going to gain a wound. Well, we have no more actions available, so when we end our round in a room with fire, we do gain a light wound. So we're going to mark ourselves with our first light wound. And as we moved carefully, we get to place the noise marker where we want, and I think we're going to be heading in this direction, so we'll place the noise in back of us. These cards will go into the discard pile. And now we're going to move on to the events phase. First part of the events phase is we move the timer. So we're going to move from 15 to 14 turns remaining before the ship will go into hyperjump. If we're not in the hibernatorium, or if we haven't evacuated the ship through an escape pod, we're dead. The next steps would be an intruder attack. Each intruder in the same space as a character would launch an attack. And then there's fire damage, and that only applies to intruders. Our fire damage occurs when we pass, which we already did. And then the next step is to resolve an event card. So we're going to draw an event and see what happens. Okay, here is the event card. Now how we resolve these is we look at the top of the card, and that will give us the symbols of if there are intruders on the board, which ones will activate and what corridor they'll move through. Now, we don't have any intruders on the board, so we'll skip down to the next event portion. It says regeneration. Each intruder on the board heals 2 injuries. Well, once again, there's no intruders. So that card can be discarded with no ill effects to us, which is good. And the last step of the event phase is to perform what they call bag development. What's going to happen is we are going to grab our intruder bag, and I ended up changing the intruder bag over to a little bit larger bag that I have so I can get my hand in there and mix these up a bit better. We're going to draw a token, and then that's going to tell us what's going to happen with this bag. So we'll make a draw and see what happens. Okay, we have drawn. All right, that's the symbol for an adult. We can find those intruder symbols on the intruder board, and in this case it's an adult. And when we read through that, it tells us that when we draw an adult, we're supposed to perform a noise roll. If your character is in combat with an intruder, you do not perform a noise roll. Return the token to the bag. So in this case, we're going to return the token, and we have to roll for noise. To make a noise roll, we're going to use the noise die. And that is going to tell us which corridor the noise is coming from. If we have more than one noise token in a corridor, we're going to have an encounter. So in this case, if we roll a 4, we would have 2 noise tokens in that corridor. Any other result, and we'll be all right. Okay, here is the roll. The roll is a 2, so we'll place noise in corridor 2. All right, and that's going to end the first turn. All right, so far so good. What we're going to do is restock our hand with 5 cards. And that right now we have rest, repairs, computer skills, search, and blocking access. Those are our cards in our hand. So I think what we'll do is we'll continue on with our investigation. We're attempting to find that comms room. So I'm going to select a card that I don't think we'll need, and we'll use the rest card. And we'll use that to activate a movement. I wonder if we should move quietly or carefully, because then, yeah, maybe I better. I think I will. I'm going to play 2 cards, and we'll use the computer skills card that will allow us to move carefully. So we'll move into this corridor, and then we can place the noise token in the corridors that we wish. So now we'll see what we find here. And we have the fire control system. Initiate the fire control procedure. You'll also notice on these tokens that some of them have a little computer screen on them, and that allows us to use certain computer actions. All right, let's see what the exploration token has to say. Uh-oh. All right, there's a total of 2 items in the room. Now, when you're playing solo, it's 1/2 of that rounded up. So in this case, we have 1 searchable item. So we set it to 1. Now, this claw mark is a danger mark. And that reads, danger, do not perform a noise roll. If there is an intruder in a neighboring room that is not in combat with any character, move it into this room. If there's more than one, move them all. If there are no intruders in any neighboring rooms, or if they are in combat, place a noise marker in each corridor connected to the room without a noise marker in it. So that means we're going to, and that also says including technical corridors. So we have to place noise markers in each adjoining corridor. So we have to place one in this corridor. Now this location does not have a technical corridor. A technical corridor is marked with this little red dot. And those, if there's noise in those, they're considered to be noise into any room that has a technical corridor once noise appears there. All right, so we are currently in the fire control system room. And I think I'm going to play another search card. And that won't require any additional cards. We'll be able to reduce the room to item numbered by 1, so that'll go down to 0. And then we can draw 2 cards of the same color as the room, and that's yellow. That's a technical deck. And we end up getting duct tape and chemicals. All right. We're going to take the chemicals, and that's going to work out with our laboratory equipment. So we'll take the chemicals, and then let's see what we can do with those chemicals. And that card says, that's one of our quest items, laboratory equipment. It takes 1 card and then discard chemicals to activate this item. So if we do that, if you are in a room with a character corpse, intruder, carcass, or egg, discover 1 corresponding intruder weakness card. That could help us. We have 2 cards remaining, so I could use those to move carefully into the next room. But I think I'm going to be careful with this, because like what happened that last time, we moved in there was fire and I couldn't get out, and we ended up taking a light wound. So I think what we will do is we're just going to pass for right now. We'll keep the 2 cards, and we'll move on now to our events phase. And once again, with the events phase, we move the turn track down Now we're at 13. And the first actionable step that we have is going to be to resolve an event card. And that card is revealed to be Noise in Technical Corridors. Place a noise marker in the technical corridor if there isn't already one there. If there is, each character in a room with a technical corridor entrance performs a noise roll. Well, we have to place one, but we're not in a room with a technical corridor, which is good. So what we do is we place a noise marker in this technical corridor location. And that means that wherever there's one of these red dots in a room, it's considered to have noise attached to it. So that's kind of dangerous for us. Next up is going to be the bag development. So we are going to draw a token out of the intruder bag and see what happens. Okay, we have drawn, we drew the queen. All right, let's see what that means. That reads, if there are any characters in the nest, place the queen there and resolve an encounter. Otherwise, or if the nest is undiscovered, add an egg token to the intruder board and return the token to the bag. Well, that's what's going to happen. So right now we have a total of 5 eggs in the nest. We're going to add an extra one there. It'll be 6. And then we're going to return that token to the bag. All right, we're ready for a new player turn, and we have our hand now consists of repairs, blocking access, computer skills, risk assessment, and intranet. All right. Now we have kind of an interesting card here. I think we might end up doing this. It's called risk assessment. No additional cost. It says use in a room with a computer. Look at the top card of the event deck and then return it to either the top or the bottom of the deck. So I think we'll do that. We have a computer in the fire control system room. So we'll take a look at the top event card and see if that's something we want to have. And that's going to be damage. Put a malfunction marker in each room with an adult, breeder, or queen. Well, we'll keep that. That's so far there's no intruders on the map yet, so I think that's good. We'll place this card into the discard, and I think we're going to continue on with our investigation. We're going to use 2 cards, and I think we'll use intranet and blocking access. That will allow us to move carefully into the next room. So our hero is going to move into this corridor, and then we'll examine what is there. We're looking for a comms room. And this time we've found an armory. Recharge your energy weapon. All right, let's see what is in here. Oh, fire again. Okay, so there's a total of 1 searchable item in there. We've set it to 1. And unfortunately, there is fire in the room. All right, well, we don't want to stay there, because if we do, we're going to gain another light wound. So we got to get out of here. So I think what we will do is, I have to place noise, that's right. We can place noise in any corridor that we choose to. And, well, I think we'll place the noise here. And what I'm probably going to end up doing is moving through. Well, yeah, that's interesting. I guess we will place it here, and we're going to end up moving into the engine room, and we can examine those engines. That's one way we can destroy the ship, is if we have 2 non-functional engines on the ship. And we have to get out of that room. There's fire there, so I'm going to spend the computer skills and repairs cards in order to move carefully. So we're going to, I think, move into the engine room. And we'll see what happens. We arrive in the engine room. There's no exploration token there. We have to place noise, though. And we can place that in any corridor we choose. I think I'll place that in the corridor in back of us. Now, once we're in the engine room, we can spend 2 cards and we can examine the engines to see if they are functional or non-functional. Well, we're out of cards, so we are going to have to pass. And we'll continue now with the events phase. Begin by moving the turn track. We're at 12 now. And the first actionable step will be the event draw, and we know what that is because we have examined it. There's no movement because there's no invaders on the board. Damage. Put a malfunction marker in each room with an adult, breeder, or queen. Well, there are none. So this was a good event for us. Had no effect. Now we're going to do our bag development. And our bag development selection is an adult. So that's going to go back in the bag, and we are going to roll for noise. All right, this is not going to be probably good for us because we have a technical corridor which has noise in it. Corridor 1 has noise, so only a 4 would be good for us. We'll make the roll and see what happens. We rolled a 1, so that means that a second noise marker is placed there. That means we're going to have an encounter. When an encounter occurs, we end up removing all noise tokens that are adjoining us, including the noise that's in the technical corridor. So we've gotten rid of that at least. We'll remove those. And now we're going to have to make a draw from the intruder bag and find out what we have encountered. And that model is going to appear in our space. Okay, and we've drawn an adult. Now on the back of the token is going to be a number, in this case a warning number. Now this says that if we have that number, less than that number of cards remaining in our hand, there'll be a surprise attack. If we have that number or greater in our hand, number of cards, we will not have a surprise attack. But in this case, we have no cards. So there will be a surprise attack by an intruder. And so the adult enters the room, and we're going to draw an intruder attack card. If an adult symbol is on the card, damage will be done. And there is. We're going to receive a bite. If the character has 2 serious wounds, they die. If not, they suffer a serious wound. Okay. So we draw a serious wound, and it's a leg wound. From now on, the cost of your escape movement action is 2. That could have been worse. And so now, in addition to our light wound, we've received a major wound to our leg. And it says here, from now on, the cost of your escape movement action is 2. All right, we're going to begin a new round, and we'll draw our 5 action cards. And we have search, rest, demolition, interruption, and search. Those are the cards we have for our hand. We have 2 choices. We can try to kill this thing. We're only equipped with a pistol, which only does a maximum of 1 hit per hit. So the odds on killing this thing are slim. We're going to have to try to escape. So we're going to play the interruption and rest cards. And we're going to attempt to escape through this corridor over here. But before we do that, we're going to have to draw an intruder attack card and see if he wounds us as we escape. This could be bad. And that card is, yes, we're going to take a claw attack. The character suffers 2 light wounds and gets a contamination card. Oh boy. So we're going to take 2 light wounds, 1 and 2, and that's going to turn into a serious wound now. So we have to draw a serious wound card, and it is the hand. The cost of all of your item actions is increased by 1. Oh, not good. We're in bad shape already. And in addition, we have to place a contamination card into our discard pile. But we've successfully escaped from the room, so we'll find out what we find here. And this is a surgery. All right, that's interesting. And it is, a door is going to close behind us. That is great. So we'll have 2 searchable items in the room, so we'll set that at 2. And a door is going to close in back of us, which is awesome. So we are going to enter the surgery room, and a door is going to shut now between us and the adult. I think next up we are going to perform a search. So we're going to lower our searchable items down to 1, and we're going to draw 2 green cards and see what we find. And we end up with synthetic food or a med kit. A med kit can dress a serious wound. Synthetic food will give us 2 action cards from our deck. I think we'll take the med kit, and that could be useful for us. We have that serious wound right now. This will be discarded. Now we do have 2 cards remaining. We have a search card and a demolition card. We could spend both actions to activate the surgery, and that's going to allow us to scan all contamination cards from our action deck, hand and discard pile, and remove all infected cards. If you have a larvae on your character board, we would remove it. After scanning, the character suffers a light wound and we must pass. Well, one thing we need to do is we need to roll for noise. That was something we didn't do yet, so we'll do that now. It was a part of our escape. Noise roll is a 3, so we'll be placing noise in corridor 3. All right. I'm not sure how to proceed now. We don't know if that contamination card that we have is an infection. And the surgery room just says that we would scan the contamination cards and remove all infected cards. So if we weren't infected, then the card will remain. But we really don't have anything to lose by doing that. If we are infected, would be one of the few ways we can get rid of it. I think it's probably safe to try it. So I'm going to spend our last 2 cards, a search and a demolition, and we're going to conduct that, use the surgery in that room, and we'll find out what we've got with that contamination card. We're going to take an extra light wound in the process though, so we're going to scan the contamination that we have, and we'll see if we are indeed infected or not. And it ends up we are not infected. I don't know if that's going to resolve on camera or not, but it's not infected. So we will have to keep that card. We're going to have to pass now. And we're going to have to take a light wound. So we've right now got a light wound with 2 serious wounds. Not good. All right, we'll move on now to the event phase, where we are going to move the time track. Time track will advance to turn 11. There's no intruder attack, no fire damage, so we're going to resolve an event card, and we'll see what happens to us now. The event card is Bulkheads Open. The adult and a breeders will move down corridor 1. So that's the first thing we do. So the adult is going to move through corridor 1 into the armory. And then it says bulkheads open. Open all doors except destroyed doors. So this door is going to open in back of us now, which is probably not a good thing. It gave us a little bit of a protection from the adult. I suppose that could have been worse. So now we're going to do our intruder bag portion of the turn. We'll draw a token and see what happens. This time we draw the token. It's a larva. Okay, so that means we will read what it says for a larva, and that says remove this token from the intruder bag and add an adult token to the bag. All right, so the larva token will be put back into the supply, and we'll be adding an adult. All right, that's going to make it a little tougher for us. We're ready to begin another player turn. We have 2 search cards, a demolition card, interruption, and intranet. All right. I think we're going to use our med kit. Now normally that would cost one additional card, but because of our hand wound, it says the cost of all item actions is increased by 1, so we have to pay 2 cards to activate that. I'm going to use the interruption and demolition cards to pay for that cost, and that will allow us to use the med kit, and it says to dress a serious wound. When we dress a wound, we flip that wound upside down, so it will no longer affect us, but it still counts as one of the 3 serious wounds that we're able to have. So I think what we will do is I'm going to dress the hand wound, and that will at least get rid of that item action cost that we're paying. And then that med kit is discarded. So in order to get rid of those wounds, we're going to have to get another med kit or something of that nature, and then we could use that to get rid of a dressed wound. All right, I think we've exhausted what we're going to end up doing at the surgery. We have 2 search cards. Well, maybe we'll do that. I'll spend a search card while we're there, and we'll reduce the item count on the room to 0, and we'll be able to draw 2 green cards from items from the deck, and those are revealed to be, both of them are bandages, and that would allow us to dress a serious wound or heal all light wounds. So we'll definitely have to be drawing one of those. One will be discarded, and well, we have a way to at least deal with the light wound or a serious wound. All right. And I think for this last action, we're going to spend 2 cards, an action card and the intranet card, and we're going to move into the engine room. So we'll head through there into the engine room, and we're going to have to, now we can place noise where we want. And I think I'll place that noise in back of us in this corridor, and then that will allow us to continue searching that northeastern part of the ship. That's going to end our turn, so we are going to go into our pass condition, and we'll go on to the event phase. We'll begin by moving the turn track. We're down to 10 now. Next up is we are going to resolve an event card, and this one is hatching. We're going to have the adult moving through corridor 3. All right. So the adult is going to move through corridor 3 into the fire control system. And the rest of that card reads hatching. Discard 1 egg from the intruder board. Any characters in the nest room whose players have no action cards left are infected by a larva. If no character was infested, put a larva token into the intruder bag. So we're going to discard one of the eggs from the nest, and we're going to put a larva token into the bag. And now we're going to take care of our intruder bag development, and here is the token. And that is an adult. So what that means is it goes back in the bag, and we have to roll for noise. And here's our noise roll. The roll is a 1, and that means that we're going to have an encounter. So we remove the noise tokens from adjacent to the room, and then we're going to draw a token from the bag, and we're going to encounter it. Okay, this is what we've got, and it's an adult. All right, the token is put into the supply, and we're going to add an adult token to the room. There he is. Now that adult token has a warning level of 2. We have no cards left, so it is going to do a surprise attack against us, unfortunately. We're going to draw an intruder attack card and see if the intruder symbol is on it. And it is. That's a claw attack. The character suffers 2 light wounds and gets 1 contamination card. So we suffer 2 light wounds, 1 and 2, and that turns into a serious wound. We'll draw a serious wound card. That one is bleeding. Each time you pass in the player phase, your character suffers a light wound. We are not in good shape. That is our third serious wound, and I'll have to see if that actually kills us right now, or if it's, I think it's any other wound after we receive our third. Yeah, it's whenever we would suffer any additional wound after receiving our third, that is going to be the end of us. And we've also gained an additional contamination marker. So what we're going to have to do now is, we have bandages, so we would be able to dress a serious wound. That would help, but we need to be able to remove that wound, because right now, as soon as we pass next turn, it's going to be the end of us. And that's with that bleeding card. Each time you pass the player in the player phase, the character suffers a light wound, so that is going to kill us unless we can heal one of those serious wounds. All right, our new hand is Rest, Blocking Access, Risk Assessment, Computer Skills, and a Contamination card. That is the cards we have available to us. Well, I don't think fighting this thing is going to be worth much, because even if we did all 3 hits that are in our energy weapon, it's a very low number of hit points. Usually those things have 4 or 5 or more. So if we try to escape, I guess we've got a chance. We're going to have to spend 2 cards in order to escape, though. I think that's probably our only chance. So I'm going to use the Rest and the Blocking Access cards to attempt an escape. So we're going to attempt to move down this corridor here, and we'll see what happens. Now we have to draw an Intruder attack card. If it ends up to have an adult symbol on it, we're dead. It does not. That was a queen only tail attack, so we're safe. So we have, for the moment, entered into this new room here. And we'll see what that's about. It is an emergency room. That could be very good for us. It's malfunctioning, and it has 1 searchable item. So we'll set that to 1. We'll enter into the emergency room, and now we have to place a malfunction token in that room. So we won't be able to use that room until that's repaired. All right. Unfortunately, I don't have a repair card, so we won't be able to repair that emergency room during this turn. And as soon as we pass, we're going to take a light wound, and that is going to kill us, unless there's some way I can get rid of one of those serious wounds. I think the only choice we're going to have now is to search that area. I don't have a search card. Oh boy. Oh, incidentally, I forgot, since we met our first intruder, we needed to pick one of the 2 objective cards that we had, and I'm going to end up taking Cleanup Crew. We'll keep that one, and we'll discard the cutting off the tail. Well, the only thing that I can think of doing is to use this Bandages card. It's 1 use only, and that allows us to dress a serious wound. So we have to pay 1 card to do that. I'll use the Computer Skills card to power that. We don't longer have that hand injury that's been treated. So what that'll allow us to do, though, is to stop the bleeding. So this bleeding card can be turned over, and we won't take any light wounds because of that. And that will save our life for the moment. We still have 3 wounds, serious wounds. A leg wound is still active. But the other 2 have been dressed, so they won't continue to plague us for the moment. And now we're going to have to roll for noise. We didn't do that in that turn. We have to do that right now. And here's the noise roll. And that is a 1, so we're going to place a noise token in corridor 1. Okay. All right. Well, we have 1 card remaining, and we could end up trying to move into that other engine room and try to get some distance between us and that adult. I think that's the only thing we can do. So I'm going to play the risk assessment card as a move, and we're going to attempt to move into that upper engine room, and we'll see what happens. So we'll move into this corridor, and then that places us in the engine room. And at least we've got some room between us and that adult, and that's about all I can think of doing. We're going to have to pass right now because all we have left is a contamination card. So I'm going to, when you pass, you can discard any cards that you want to. So we're going to discard our contamination card, and that will allow us to have a full hand at least. And that's going to bring our turn to a close. We'll start by moving the turn tracker, so we're at turn 9 now. 9 turns to go. And now we're going to draw an event card. And the event is... Alright, well, it's a malfunction card. We'll start by having the adults move through corridor 2. So each adult will move through corridors and mark 2. So one is going to go into the evacuation section B, and this one is going to move into the surgery. All right. And the card says malfunction. Place a malfunction marker in the explored room with the lowest room number. Then shuffle this card back into the events deck. All right, the lowest numbered explored room appears to be number 8, and that would be this engine control room. And so that means that we're going to be placing a malfunction marker in that room. And then that card gets shuffled back in to the event deck. So we'll place the malfunction token there, and then we'll shuffle that card back in. And now we have to make our bag development draw, and we'll see what that brings us. And this time we get a larva. Okay, a larva means that this token is put into the supply, and we're going to be placing an adult into the bag. All right, so we're safe for the moment, but not many moments left, it looks like. And we've drawn our next hand of cards. We have a repairs, contamination card, computer skills, rest, and interruption. So I guess we could travel back to the emergency room and repair it, and then we would be able to treat our wounds there. That might be the best thing we can do. So I think what we'll do is we'll make a careful movement. It's going to cost us 2 cards to treat the wounds. So we'll use a rest and interruption card, and we're going to use that to make a movement into the emergency room. So we'll move back into the emergency room, and we're going to have to place a noise token, and I think we'll place that into this corridor here. And that's it. So now we're there, and we can use our repairs card. Oh boy. Yep, we can do that. The repairs card costs us 1 card to play, so we'll use the computer skills card. It says discard a malfunction marker from the room that you're in. So we can repair the room, and unfortunately that is the last card we have. The other one is a contamination card, so we'll have to pass. I'm going to discard the contamination card, and we're going to move on to the events phase. All right, we're going to move now to turn 8, and this symbol here means that the hibernation pods open up. So once we cross into this blue area of the track, we could technically enter a hibernation pod, but we haven't even come close to meeting up with our objectives. We have to still find the comms room yet. All right, next up is the intruder attack phase. That's not going to happen, but there will be fire damage. This adult is in this room with fire, so he's going to gain a wound, and then we're going to have to draw a card and find out if that kills him or not. So we're going to place a wound token on that alien, and then we have to draw a card and find out if he is defeated or not. So we'll draw an intruder attack card, and all we care about on this is the blood symbol, and we'll compare that with the number of wounds that he has. And that's a 6, so he would have to have 6 wounds in order to kill him. And next up, we're going to draw our event card, and this time it is evacuation pod ejection. All right, the adults are going to move through corridor 3. So all the adults will move through corridor 3. This adult is going to go into the technical corridor, which is going to remove him from the board, and we're going to add an adult token to the bag. That's how that works. So we'll add that to our bag. The other adult is also going to move through corridor 3. And in this case, he's going to go into this unexplored room right there. All right, then it says evacuation pod ejection. Remove 1 escape pod token with the lowest number. Remove this event from the game and reshuffle the events deck, including the discard pile. All right, so that means we're going to lose escape pod 1, and the card will be permanently removed from the game. And then we have to shuffle the events card deck, including the discards. And now it's our bag development, so we'll be drawing a token from the bag, and we'll see what happens. This time the token is a creeper. Okay, let's find out what to do when this creeper is drawn. And it says remove this token from the intruder bag and add 1 breeder token to the bag. All right, so the creeper is going to be put into the supply, and we're going to add a breeder token, which is that symbol. And we'll put that into the bag. Now, the breeders are a little tougher. They have 2 intruder cards worth of hit points, so they're a little tougher. All right, and that is going to bring the round to a close. We'll draw our 5 cards and continue on. All right, we've drawn demolition, a contamination card, risk assessment, a search card, and intranet. All right, well, I think the only thing that we can do is attempt to utilize that emergency room. I think that's our best bet. That emergency room says treat your wounds, dress all of your serious wounds, all of your serious wounds, or heal one of your dressed serious wounds, or heal all of your light wounds. Well, we have 2 dressed serious wounds, so I think that is the way to do this. We're going to use the intranet and the demolition card. We'll play those 2 cards, and that'll pay the cost for the emergency room. We'll put those 2 into the discard pile, and now we're able to actually treat a serious wound that has been, we can, a dressed wound it's called. I lost my place there, sorry about that. It says that we can dress all serious wounds or heal one of the dressed wounds. So I think that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to, I guess we'll do the bleeding card. That's one of the 2 that we have dressed. So that card is removed. Now we're down to 2 serious wounds and no light wounds at the moment. And now we have a contamination card, risk assessment, and search. So I think what I'll do is we're going to play the 2 cards for a careful move, risk assessment and search, and that will allow us to move into this corridor. Now that's going to be a level 2 room. That's not going to be the comms room, but it will give us access at least possibly to those other rooms. So we'll see what we've got here. This one is a hatch control system. We can lock and unlock the escape pods, and it is worth 1 search item, and it has a malfunction. So we set that to 1 right there. Yeah, don't get confused. One of those is the technical corridor, and one is the marker for the number of searches available. So we have to place a mechanical breakdown marker there. We've entered the room, And now we can place noise where we want. And I guess we'll place that noise going to the hibernatorium there. All right. We're down to our last card, so we're going to pass. I'm going to discard the contamination card. And we'll move on now to the events phase. So the time track is going to move down now to 7. We got 7 turns before the engines will try to kick on into hyperdrive. All right, there are no intruder attacks, and there's no fire to deal with, for at least in regards to the intruders. So we'll draw an event card and see what happens. Event card is revealed to be life support failure. All right, the adults are going to move through corridor 2, so he's going to move into the armory. It's the only intruder on the board. And then it says life support failure. Place a malfunction marker in each green room. Remove this event from the game and reshuffle the events deck, including the discard pile. All right, well, we have 2 green rooms on the board. So we are going to have to place malfunction tokens in those rooms. That'll be the surgery and the emergency room, which we had just repaired recently. Those are all of the green rooms on the board. The card will be removed from play, and we're going to shuffle the event deck once again. And now we're going to take care of our bag development. And we'll draw a token and find out what happens. Okay, this time the token is... That's a blank. Okay, let's find out what happens with that. A blank token. Add 1 adult token to the intruder bag. Nothing happens if there are none available. Return the blank bag to the token to the bag. All right, so we are going to place an adult in the bag along with the blank going back in. Okay. All right, we've drawn our new hand of cards. We've got blocking access, search, repairs, computer skills, and interruption. So I think what we're going to do is we are going to use our repairs card. And we're going to have to pay an extra card. We'll use the interruption card, and it says discard the malfunction marker from the room we are in. So that will allow the hatch control system to be functional. And I think next we are going to use our computer skills and blocking access card. We'll spend 2 cards to use the hatch control system that will allow us to lock and unlock the escape pods. So we're going to turn that escape pod from locked to unlocked. And now, if we can get to evacuation chamber B, which is this one, we'd be able to at least get into the pod. It's a way for us to escape. And we have 1 card left, and that's a search card. So I think we'll play that. And then that will dial down to 0 in that room. And this is a gray colored room that allows us to draw cards from any of the decks that we choose. And I think we're going to draw from the technical deck. That'll be the yellow deck. So we'll draw 2 cards from that and see what we get. And we've got chemicals and tools. All right, the tools allow us to discard the malfunction marker from the room we're in, repair or break an engine, or open and close a door, so not real good. Chemicals allows us to load up a flamethrower, or we can use those for, like I say, we already have chemicals that we can use to get some laboratory equipment. So I guess we'll take the tools. It's not really too great for us, but we'll take them. And the chemicals we will discard. And we're out of cards now, so we're going to pass, and we'll go into the events phase. Move the time track down to 6. And now we do have intruder and fire in the same room, so they're going to gain a wound. Put a wound marker on him. And we're going to draw an intruder attack card, and if he has a 1 on there, it'll kill it. And the health is 4, so he's fine. All right, now we're going to do our event draw. Event card is revealed to be Scent of Prey. Okay, the adult is going to move through corridor 3, so he's going to move back into the fire control system. Then it says place a noise marker in every corridor connected to a room containing a character with a slime marker, except corridors that already have noise markers. Well, that's one thing we don't have yet is slime. So that event didn't have any effect on us. And now all we have left is the bag development. All right, here is the selection. And this time it is a larva. Okay, so with a larva, it says remove the token from the bag and add an adult in. So this will go at the bottom of the stack. And we're going to add an adult token into the bag. There's a lot of them in there now. All right. All right, we've drawn our new hand of cards. We have Intranet, Rest, 2 Contamination, and a Risk Assessment. All right, well, we're going to have to try and move, I think, and find that comms room. So I think we'll try to move quietly, or carefully, rather. So we're going to use the Rest card and the Intranet card to move carefully. So we'll move into this room and we'll see what that brings us. And that is the comms room. That is what we were looking for. And it is malfunctioning. It has 1 searchable item on it. We'll set that for 1. And we have to place a mechanical failure token on there, and we are in the comms room. All right. Now we moved carefully, so we're able to place the noise wherever we choose to. I'm going to put it into this engine room. I think we're just going to have to take a chance here. We're running out of time. I have to send the comm signal, and then we have to try to get to the evacuation chambers and just hope that the engines are malfunctioning, and we might be able to win that way, I think. The only card we have left is Risk Assessment, and that costs 0 cards. It says use in a room with a computer. Look at the top card of the event deck and then return it to either the top or bottom of the deck. So I think we'll do that. So we'll play this Risk Assessment card, and we'll take a look at the top card on the event deck is Coolant Leak. If there is a malfunction marker in the generator room, start the self-destruct countdown. Remove this event from the game and reshuffle the events deck, including the pile. Well, I think we'll keep that at the top. That's not a bad card for us necessarily. So, all right. And right now we have just 2 contamination cards. We're going to discard those cards, and we'll pass. Turn track is down to 5. All right, there's no intruder attack, no fire damage. We're going to resolve an event card, and we know what this one's going to be because we looked at it. That's that coolant leak. So the adult is going to move through corridor 1. He's going to move into evacuation chamber section B. All right, and then we're going to read the coolant leak. If there is a malfunction marker in the generator room, start the self-destruction countdown. Well, that room hasn't been revealed yet. Remove this event from the game and reshuffle the events deck, including the discard pile. Okay. And all that remains now is the intruder bag development. So we're going to draw a token and see what happens. And we draw the breeder. Okay, that says all players in order perform a noise roll. If your character is in combat with an intruder, you do not perform a noise roll. Return the token to the bag. So we have to just perform a noise roll. So that's going back in the bag. And we'll do a noise roll. And here's our noise roll. And we rolled a 1. So corridor 1 is going to get a noise token. And that's right here. So for the moment, we're safe. All right, we're ready to start our next player turn. We've drawn our cards. We have Demolition, Search, Interruption, Rest, and a Contamination card. The only chance we're going to have is we have to make our way to the evacuation chamber. We've got 2 contamination cards. We don't know the status of the engines, but we're at turn 5. I just won't have enough time. We'll just have to take a risk and see if we can survive this somehow. So we're going to plot our way towards evacuation section B and try to get into the pods. Well, the fastest way to get to that evacuation section is going to be through the hibernation chamber. So I think we'll have to take a risk and just go through areas we've already explored. So I think I'll make my way into the hatch room. So we are going to move carefully. We'll play our interruption and demolition card. And we're going to move into the hatch. We get to place which direction we're going to put our noise in, and we'll obviously place that in number 2. All right, and I guess we'll make our way into the hibernation chamber. We'll spend a search and a rest card to move carefully, and we'll move into the hibernation chamber. And we're going to place noise in corridor number 1. And that is going to be the end of our player turn. All we have left is a contamination card. I'm going to pass. We'll discard that card. We'll move on to the event phase. Turn track is going to move down. We've got 4 turns left. It's going to be close. The worst part is we have an adult in that evacuation section B, which is where we're trying to get, so hopefully he'll move by the time we get there. All right, there is going to be fire damage. The creature is in a room with fire, so we're going to add a wound to the creature, and then we'll check to see if it's killed. We'll add a second wound. Then we're going to draw an intruder attack card, and we're just looking at the blood portion of that card. And the card is 5. He's got 2 wounds, and we need to have 5 on there, so he's still alive. All right. Next step is to draw an event, and this time it's short circuit. Okay, the adult is going to move down corridor 4. So he will move into the engine control room. That's somewhat good for us. It says short circuit. Place a malfunction marker on each yellow room with a computer. All right, well, let's see what we've got here for yellow rooms. There is one in the engine control room that has a computer that already has a malfunction marker on it. And that's the only yellow room with it. Nope, there's one more, the comms room. The comms room already has a malfunction token on it. All right, so we are going to remove the card from the game, and then we're going to reshuffle the events deck. And now we do our bag development. So we're going to draw a token and see what happens. There's a lot of adults in here now. And that card it's an adult. All right, so we are going to place that back in the bag, and we have to roll for noise. Okay, we'll make our noise roll. And here's the roll. The roll is a danger. All right. And that reads, if there is an intruder in a neighboring room that is not in combat with the character, move it into the room. And there is. That adult is going to move into the hibernatorium with us. All right, that creature does not attack yet, but it does move into the room with us. And that's going to end the round. We're going to draw some new cards, and I think we might try a little combat here and see if we can kill this thing. All right, we're ready to start our next turn. We have blocking access, risk assessment, repairs, search, and a contamination card. I think we'll start by doing a shoot action. It costs us 1 card. We'll use blocking access, and we're going to attempt to fire our energy weapon pistol at the creature. And here's the roll. And we have a blank, so that's a miss. We used up 1 ammunition. We're going to try another one now, And we're going to play the card Risk Assessment. And we'll try to fire again. And that time we have 2 hits. Now our pistol says that 2 hits count only as 1 hit. So we're going to place another wound token on that creature. We're going to draw a card and check the blood splatter and see if we kill it. That card is a 5, so he's still alive. Well, we're going to try one more attack. We'll play the search card, using up our last ammo, and we'll make the attack roll. Okay, here is the roll. We rolled a blank. Oh no, we're in serious trouble. So we've exhausted all of our ammunition. We do not have any type of energy weapon to reload it yet, so we don't have the ability to reload those. Well, we have a repairs and a contamination card. I'm going to keep those, and we're going to pass our turn. Incidentally, we were unable to escape. Even if we wanted to, we have a leg injury, and it would require us to have a cost of 2 to escape the creature. Our turn track continues to creep down. We're down to 3 turns left. I don't know if we're going to make it. Next step is the intruder attack step. So we're going to draw an intruder attack card, and if we have an adult symbol on there, we're going to get attacked. Here's the card. And that one is only the queen, so he missed us. Otherwise it would have been a queen tail attack. All right, there's no fire damage, so we'll move on now to resolving an event card. And that card is revealed to be... okay, the adult is not going to move. He wouldn't move anyway. He's in a combat situation. Nest. If the nest is explored, place a noise marker in each corridor that is connected to the nest. Do not place a noise marker if one is already present. Okay, so that will not affect us. The nest has not been uncovered yet. So we'll go on now to our bag development. So we'll draw a token, and that one is revealed to be an adult. All right, so that's going to go back into the bag, and we are going to make a roll for noise. All right, here is the noise roll. The roll is a 3, so we are going to place a noise token in corridor 3. All right, that is going to complete the round, and we'll move on to a new player turn. All right, our new cards are repairs, computer skills, intranet, interruption, and a search card. All right, well, I don't have any ammunition left. The only chance we would have would be to use a melee attack, which is extremely dangerous. So the next choice would be for us to attempt to escape. And I guess we don't really have much of a choice. So I think we will do that. I'm going to spend the interruption and the intranet card. And we're going to attempt an escape. So we'll play those 2. And we'll attempt to escape through, I guess, this corridor into the engine control room. Now, before we escape, we're going to have to draw an intruder attack card and see if we've been hit as we leave. Card is revealed to be transformation, but that's only a creeper symbol. So we have managed to escape without taking any damage. So that means we have entered the engine control room, but we're going to have to roll for noise. All right, here is the noise roll. We rolled a 2, so we're going to be placing noise in corridor 2. We got a little lucky there. All right. All right, we're going to move carefully. I'll be playing the computer skills and the search card. So we're going to move carefully into the evacuation section B. Now there's a fire marker there, so we are going to get a hit, but we can place the noise into the technical corridor. So that allows us to place a noise token in the technical corridor. And that's good. So now We have one card remaining. Now that's not enough to use the evacuation section B. So we're going to have to just hold on to the card and we're going to pass. That is going to give us a light wound. So we'll mark ourselves with a light wound. And if all things go okay, we can get into the pod at least. Next turn, we'll see what happens. We'll move to the event phase. The turn track goes down to 2 turns, so we're cutting it close. All right, there's no intruder attack and there's no intruder fire damage. We'll move on to resolving an event card. And the card is revealed to be damage. The adult will move through corridor 2. And that means he's going to move into the room to the northwest of the hibernatorium. All right. Now it says damage. Put a malfunction marker in each room with an adult, breeder, or queen. So we're going to add a malfunction token in room 6. Place a malfunction token in there. All right. That finishes the event phase. Now we have to draw a token for the bag development. And here's our bag development draw. And we draw an adult. All right, that's going to go back in the bag and we're going to have to roll for noise. Now every one of the corridors that is adjoining us, including the technical corridors, have noise in them, so the only chances of our survival are going to be to roll a no noise or a danger symbol. Other than that, we're going to have an encounter. And here's the noise roll. We rolled a 4, so that's going to place noise into corridor number 4, and that means we're going to have an encounter. So we're going to clean the area of noise, including the technical corridor. And then we have to draw a token from the bag and see what encounter we have. And I don't have a good feeling about this. We'll make the draw. And this time we have an adult. So we are going to be encountering an adult. And we have to see if it's going to have a sneak attack against us. It has a warning value of 4. We only have 1 card left. So it is going to do an attack on us. Here's the attack card. And it did. It scratched us. The character suffers a light wound and gets a contamination. So we're going to move to our 2 light wounds and we're going to gain another contamination card into our discard pile. Oh boy, we were so close. All right, we're going to begin a new round, and this isn't good. We have blocking access, search, rest, repairs, and a contamination card. And we've got an intruder in our room. That means we can't use the listed ability on the room. So we can't get into the pod. We've only got 2 turns left. So we can't stay there because there's fire there. Would give us another light wound, which would turn into a serious wound. That would be our 3rd. So I guess our only chance is to try to escape the room into the maybe engine control room, and then maybe the creature will move out and we can move in on the last turn, I guess. So I guess we'll use a rest and a blocking action. And we'll attempt to escape. We have to use 2 cards to escape because of our leg wound. So we're going to attempt to leave through that corridor. And now we're going to have to draw an intruder attack. And he got us with a claw attack. The character suffers 2 light wounds and gets a contamination. All right. So that is going to move us into a serious wound. We're going to gain another contamination card, which we'll add to the discard pile. And the serious wound is revealed to be the arm. The character has only 1 hand slot for heavy items, objects. If you have 2 items, they must instantly drop 1. Well, we'll drop the body of the captain, I guess. And that is our third serious wound. We've managed to escape into the engine control room, and we're going to have to roll for noise there. And here's the roll. We rolled a danger marker, so that means we're going to, I believe that that creature follows us in there. I'm going to check that. Yep, that means that if there is a intruder in a adjacent room, he's going to move in and into the room we're in, so he follows us in there. Oh boy. Well, the rules state that a creature moving into a room is not considered an encounter, so he just moves into the room with us. And it's not an encounter, though, so we don't have to see about surprise attacks or anything. Now, we have 3 cards left, Contamination card, Repairs, and Search, so I don't think we have much of a choice. We're going to use the Search and Repair card to move. So we're going to move back into that corridor, and we'll have to see if it's an escape, and we'll have to draw an intruder attack card. I think we're done. Yep, he got us with a scratch. The character suffers a light wound. Well, we have 3 severe wounds, and any additional wound is going to kill us, so we have died, unfortunately. And that's going to bring our playthrough to a close. We've lost the game, but I'll tell you, this is a very enjoyable game. Although this thing shines in multiplayer co-op play, it's still very much fun in a solo mode. You don't have those aspects of the other characters attempting to solve their objectives. And sometimes those objectives mean, you know, kind of going after other players, but it's still very, very much fun, and I'm going to definitely be bringing this back to the channel, and hopefully we'll have a little smarter playthrough than what I did. This was my first run through, and I wasn't sure what to expect, and it's really a lot of fun though, and I enjoyed the game very much. Well, I hope you enjoyed this playthrough, and I hope to see you again soon at the Solo Gamers Club for another game. In the meantime, have a nice evening, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.